Bill Barnwell puts this together. Flaws, weaknesses from the 2023 NFL playoff contenders, and he examines 14 different teams. And, of course, that would include your Dallas Cowboys. Bill Barnwell.
I'm interested in this because I love Barnwell stuff,
and
I haven't read this, so this will be all on fresh ears for me.
Okay. So, yeah, he's got his 14 playoff contenders. And as you look, he's got...
What'd they say about the Bears? I'm just kidding. I just wanted somebody out there to take a shot.
Yep. They didn't make the list.
They didn't make the list?
No, they didn't make the list. The
What
team's...
a bunk list.
You're already out on the list. He's like, I'm out. I'm out on the list. I'm out. Now, interestingly enough, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Oh, well, it's 14, playoff teams. Come on, Kev, think. He's got 7, obviously 7 from each conference. I was thinking like this was just 14 teams, but no, he's got 7 playoff spots from each conference, so that makes sense. Okay. From the AFC, he's got Baltimore, the Jets, the Saints, or not the Saints are in the AFC, but in the top 5. Let me go to the top 5. Baltimore, the Jets, the Saints at number 3, the Minnesota Vikings at number 4.
Let me see if I can guess what they are.
All right.
Jets, it's got to be offensive line.
For the Jets, is it offensive line? Yes, it is number 1.
Okay.
That is for the biggest flaw for the Jets is the offensive line.
For the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to say their offensive line too?
No. It's a little more abstract with them. It's their overall team age. It's an old team if you kind of look what the Saints have. They had 10 players are 30 years of age or older play at least 300 snaps. They boast the league's oldest roster from last year, the New Orleans Saints.
Baltimore, I'm going to say injury prone.
Baltimore would be their pass rush.
Okay. I don't know if you could really use injury prone. I mean, man, they just get crushed by injuries all the time.
Well, I mean, of course, Lamar Jackson leading that team from an offensive standpoint, signing Odell Beckham Jr., but they got to find some pass rush. They need some. So as we look at the biggest flaws for each of these teams, the Dallas Cowboys, they come in on this list at number...
If he really went kicker, I'm going to laugh.
Well,
to me, it would be offensive line depth.
They come in at number 12, and you should be laughing right about now.
Is it really kicker?
Yep. Barnwell writes, quote, for a team with a loaded roster on offense and defense, the Cowboys have one glaring concern on special teams. It probably isn't a surprise they let Brett Maher leave this offseason after the veteran missed 5 of 6 extra points during the postseason. But it's a little worrying that they didn't land a reliable replacement. Of course, they cut Tristan Vizcaino. He's gone. And now they are left with USFLer, former soccer player, Brandon Aubrey.
There's been a lot of good. The kickoffs have looked good. He made the field goal. And then
here's the interesting part
extra point.
Mr. Aubrey, yeah. He's never attempted
over
a kick.
40.
Well, he's never attempted a kick in a real NFL game. We saw him for the first time in preseason, but in an actual regular NFL season game, he's never done it. Preseason pressure, one thing. Regular season pressure, playoff pressure, another.
Okay, but there's a flip side to that coin.
Oh.
Naivete. Sometimes you don't feel the pressure because you don't know.
You don't know any better.
Yeah.
I mean, let's hope that's what it is. Because, look, here's what bothers me about the kicking situation, and I tend to agree with him because here's two sides to look at it. Number one, if kicker is your biggest problem, you got a pretty damn good football team. If kicker is your biggest problem, you've got a real issue on your football team because history has been changed in the National Football League on the feet of some of the best kickers to ever have kicked in the National Football League, Adam Vinatieri. Think about the legacy of Tom Brady and how it has changed quite dramatically by the fact The Adam Vinatieri, every time there was a pressure kick to be made
Nailed
to win a damn Super Bowl,
yeah,
he was making
the first two at least, right? I mean, obviously with the Rams and then with the Panthers, of course, the Tuck rule, in the playoffs before that.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, think about, guys like Scott Norwood,
changed the course of history because he couldn't make a kick. So there's a genuine flip side to all this, which is why, all right.
Morton Anderson, one of the greatest kickers of all time. Was it Morton that couldn't kick that bunny for that incredible Vikings team, I think when Moss was a rookie?
Randall Cunningham and that team went 15-1 that season.
Yeah.
They were so damn good. The Vikings were that season. Yeah. They were incredible.
Atlanta got them.
But that's the difference in what could be a championship season and not. That's why it's so hard to win a championship. But yes, that's what he says is the biggest flaw right now. The Cowboys.
Do you agree, though? I mean, to me,
I agree. Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I think that's legitimate, but
what would be your biggest flaw for this Cowboys team?
Depth at offensive line.
That would probably be number 2. I feel a bit better now that Zach Martin's back. Thank goodness. But yeah, offensive line does still leave a little bit to be desired because I'm over the Josh Ball experiment. I'm about done with that. Let's been better, been pretty good in camp. Richards has struggled a little bit. You saw in preseason. Offensive line struggled a little bit. So my starting 5, I feel pretty good about with, the Smith boys on the left side. Biotish has been rather chippy.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with him.
I was talking to Bobby Belt about this. He said, look, man, he is the guy who feels like he needs to set the tone on the interior for the offensive line. And give Biotish a lot of credit because he has not taken any stuff from anybody.
No, he's not.
In training camp. And I like it. I like it. But I feel good about the starting 5 now that Terrence Steele is back as well, coming off the torn ACL. But the depth behind these individuals still leaves a little bit to be desired. But at the same time, I would go kicker based off of what this team is trying to accomplish. And yes, you want to feel better about the offensive line depth as well on this football team.
I want to settle this real quick.
Gary Anderson.
Was it Gary? Okay.
Yeah, Gary.
Still, Gary was a really good kicker.
Morton
Not
was
quite
the kicker
Morton.
for the Falcons that day.
That actually kicked the winner?
Yeah, Gary for the
Vikings.
Yeah.
Because this question has come in a couple times, and I actually do want to set the record straight.
Oh.
Telephone 214, can y'all set the record straight for me? Is Dak having a bad training camp or something? No. In fact, it's the opposite. But he did have a day where he threw a few picks. And it's interesting how that's taken, nationally and talked about. I know from a few different commentators, and I'm like, yeah, he had that day where he threw a few picks, but he also had some good passes. I saw or heard on this very station, Patrick Walker talking about it with Sean and RJ and Bobby, that he also had a lot of good throws that day. And for the most part, Dak has looked awfully good.
Yeah, I'm not worried about. I know that's been a large topic of conversation so far in this preseason and in training camp for the Cowboys is Dak and some of the interceptions that he's thrown. I don't care. I don't care. Now, and you say, Kevin, how can you say that coming off a guy, a guy who threw 15 interceptions last year after missing 5 games with a broken thumb? I don't care. Dak has never been a turnover-prone quarterback.
Yeah, and this is a really, really good question, stemming off of what I was saying, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but with some seriousness to it about the naivete. From the 682, do you feel the same about Dak? Was the rookie season playoff game, I'll say against Green Bay, so successful because of naivete? He didn't feel pressure because he didn't know any better. I don't know. I'd have to ask. That'd be a good question for Dak, to be honest. Because
in that second half, he was balling in the second half.
Balling. The reason why they came back was because of he and Dez Bryant. They were really good. Dak was really good in that game. It was and it wasn't like he was awful. It was just a slow start, but Green Bay went bang, bang, bang.
I think people forget that Dak Prescott went tit for tat with Aaron Rodgers in the second half.
Had the lead.
in that football game. And I'll say this to end the point, obviously, with talking about some of the biggest flaws for some of these teams, that are playoff contenders from Bill Barnwell of ESPN. What we're not going to talk about and really care about is if Dak Prescott leads the NFL in interceptions again, but is hoisting the Lombardi trophy at the end of the year. Because, that's right, when Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, Who led the NFL in interceptions with 17 that season?
Oh, that would be Matthew Stafford.
That'd be Matthew Stafford. So I don't care if Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions. Is he holding the Lombardi trophy at the end of the year? If he is, I don't give a damn. And neither should you. That's all that matters. Some of the biggest flaws for the playoff contending teams going into this upcoming season. Bill Barnwell.
Can you real quick tell me San Francisco is at quarterback?
San Francisco, for them, their biggest weakness is the health of their offensive stars. So looking at Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy.
Okay. Kind of includes it, but
George Kittle.
Yeah.
Trying to stay healthy.